Now that we're over a week into CS2, where's the operation? Now obviously we don't know for sure if there's going to be an operation, however I want to say the range that Valve could drop an operation is extremely large. That's because if we want to look at what happened with Riptide, they released Riptide just about a month before they released the actual Stockholm capsules, meaning that the theoretical deadline of the Copenhagen Major is not on the table. With that being said, Valve has dropped their past 3 operations in the winter time, and if they're going to drop one, it's probably going to be in the next 2 to 3 months in my opinion.
SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description.
Now if we see an operation release, active duty cases are going to get pummeled in my opinion. We can look at what happened Wednesday. All of the active duty cases crashed quite significantly because people were able to go ahead and redeem a reward and the prices were a little bit inflated. If the prices can't even sustain a higher level than they were at for a day or two because a lot of people were able to go ahead and redeem a case and sell it instantly on the market, what during an operation do you believe is going to be there that these people are not going to be opting for the operation case but rather to go ahead and open up an active duty case? I don't think it's going to be a very good outlook for the active duty cases, and the historical data, as we can see here with the clutch case, backs that up immediately. Active duty cases are one of the most liquid assets out there, and therefore they're home to such a large amount of the volatility in the market that investing into them during an operation is almost a guarantee for failure. Another area that's very likely for failure is Paris. If we see an operation release, Paris is probably going to be decreasing quite significantly. That's because right now Paris is also one of these very liquid investments. Talking about the holos specifically, the capsules will come into play in just a second. If we're talking about the holos, stickers are very hard to see sustainable growth during an operation provided there's a massive amount of them out there. People are selling off nearly everything they got to get access at this new content, whether it's a new operation or even a brand new collection, and therefore I don't think it's going to be a very strong path for a lot of these Paris holos, and the Paris capsules might actually not be in a very beneficial situation either. That's because we can look at what happened with the RMR capsules in Operation Riptide. The reason that the RMR capsules actually dipped down below 25 cents was because Operation Riptide released. It was such a liquid item at that time, so many people were trying to sell it off because they were also a little bit nervous about its slight downward trajectory before that this came in and absolutely destroyed any opportunity RMR had, especially in that shorter period there. Now the Paris capsules are definitely more desirable than those RMR capsules, but I don't necessarily believe that's going to be enough to overcome the massive amount of people that are probably going to try and sell this off. Now honestly, rare cases are the most interesting predicament out of this entire video. That's because we don't exactly know if they're going to decrease significantly like we've seen in the past. If we want to look at the past, a lot of them decrease potentially 20 to 25% depending on which specific case and the amount of that case out there and the demand for said case. This is not too surprising considering we see a general trend form of everything dropping maybe along these lines. However, rare cases are now in a pretty interesting predicament. That's because the cheapest rare case out there is almost starting to approach $1, which is significantly more expensive than what we've seen in the past. This makes it a really interesting predicament because we know the supply of a lot of these rare cases is still quite massive. The clutch case has got a massive supply along with a lot of those more popular ones that we see unboxed, and therefore we don't know if that means these cases aren't going to rebound relatively quickly because the demand for them is so high, or if they're going to be dropping even more because so many people are able to sell these cases. It's a really interesting predicament that we don't exactly know. However, when an operation rolls around, personally I'm not going to be buying any of these on the first day. I'm going to see where the market lands before I decide to make my investment move with these, just because we don't exactly know, and that's the strangest part. Now the one thing we do know for sure is as you get older with the case, the likelihood that it would drop a significant amount goes down. We can look at something like the Gammas, the Spectrums, the Revolvers, and the Chromas, and these ones are probably not going to be dropping as significantly compared to the Prisma 1, Prisma 2, Danger Zone, and all the ones that are on the cheaper end. Now the play skin market could drop super significantly overnight. Now obviously that's not likely, but hear me out. If we see the first iteration of some of these brand new CS2 skins, I have a very strong feeling that some of these more popular skins could see a pretty drastic decrease. That's because these brand new CS2 skins look extremely good, and when we're comparing something that's extremely good and brand new to something that's a lot less desirable and not something everyone's interested in. Now filler skins are in a pretty precarious situation. That's because the old drop system, people had a 50% chance of getting a filler skin. Now they've got a 100% chance and potentially could get 2. Therefore the amount of filler skins out there is probably going to increase quite significantly over the next period of time. However, filler skins are also the main area we look for when an operation operation comes around for one of the items that increases quite drastically in the very beginning. Therefore, we don't necessarily know if it's going to be a smart idea to pick some of these up right now in preparation for an operation if you believe one's coming, or to pick some up in the near future, because this area is so volatile right now because we don't exactly know how many of these are going to be coming into the market and people wanting to sell them. For me personally, I'm probably just going to be avoiding this area for the short term here, and when an operation does come out, I'll probably try and be there right away to pick up some of them, but I just can't justify the risk because we know the reward is there and it's not absolutely massive. Now, as I'm sitting here editing this about 9 hours before it actually gets uploaded, we've seen the removal of pairs, which is such an interesting development because we haven't seen any announcement about it. They just kind of silently took it out, but we've already seen prices started to increase quite significantly. The prices I showed earlier was the pre-removal, and now we can see the post-removal. Things are up possibly 25 to 33%. Biggest thing about this is make sure you're not buying into any of these right now. We're going to talk about it more for Monday's video, but I don't think it's actually the most important thing to talk about right now because everyone has kind of been predicting this. Now, I think it's highly likely we get a pretty massive update in the next month or so, whether that's a case or an operation. That's because Valve has been extremely active in their smaller updates. We've seen pretty much every day or every other day a lot of new blog posts fixing very, very important things like the finger on the up. Therefore, if they're spending so much time on these things, I think it's highly likely we've got a case or an operation in development, or at least somewhere along the lines. Now, even though this is a video about an operation and how to prepare for that, a brand new case is also a little bit in this genre. Now, if a brand new case releases, there's two different options. One, it kicks out one of the active duty cases and replaces it with that brand new case, or two, it adds a sixth case to the drop pool. The only one that really matters is that first one, because that means one of these 5 cases is theoretically going to go up in price. Now, I don't think it's probably going to be the Revolution or the Dreams and Nightmares. The big 3 are definitely going to be the Recoil, the Fracture, the Snakebite. I say the Recoil has been included in these just because the Recoil's unboxing numbers have been drastically lower than what we've seen in the Snakebite and the Fracture. Now, with how volatile this market has been, and specifically the active duty case market, I don't think it's going to be worthwhile for you to invest into any of these in preparation for one of them being removed. Rather, just kind of be there right away when it happens. Just remember, the supply of these is absolutely massive and it will take a long time to deplete. Now, what should you specifically do to help prepare for an operation? The first one's definitely going to be grabbing some funds, but other than that, I don't think it's going to be the most optimal decision for you to actually buy a lot of items, especially right now. Filler skins are a little bit too volatile, and the rare case and the active case markets are probably going to drop. Whether that's a 10% or a 40%, we don't exactly know. Talking about skins themselves, they're not in a great position when it comes to competing with some of these better looking skins, and when we're talking the overall market, it's still a little bit inflated from what we've seen from the pre-CS2 levels, and we don't exactly know if that's going to be sticking around and that's just the new norm, or if we're going to see a little bit of a decrease over the upcoming months as the game doesn't gain a ton of interest because there's not a ton of people really wanting to play. But that's all I got. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.